So, Jeff Hafley ruffled some feathers a few days ago when he announced he was leaving Boston College to become the next defensive coordinator of the Green Bay Packers because he wasn't a fan of the state of college football. And for most people, they just brushed it off, didn't really think that much of it. Hafley wasn't an elite coach. He could have been fired by this point next year for all we know. Well, now there's rumor and speculation that Chip Kelly of UCLA could end up going back to the NFL if hired by the Washington Commanders. So is this going to be a trend that we start seeing more so with college football coaches, primarily head coaches? But if you are new here, welcome on into the channel. Make sure you hit the subscribe button down below. We talk college football every single day, recap in 2023, a look ahead at 2024, coaching searches, transfer portal, that's still running rampant, and a bunch of other nonsense. So if this is what you need to survive the dreaded offseason of college football, might I recommend you hit the subscribe button. Leave a comment telling me, would you like to see Chip Kelly leave UCLA and go back to the NFL? Tell your friends, your family, your mortal enemies, best of bros, Bruins faithful, Big Ten fans, and college football aficionados everywhere about this channel, because we're on the race to become the #1 YouTube show talking college football daily. Continue to follow me on social media, Twitter, X, Instagram, Facebook even, at Mr. Cole Thompson. That way, conversations surrounding our favorite sport never have to stop flowing. So, UCLA head coach Chip Kelly was rumored, or is rumored, to become the next offensive coordinator for the Washington Commanders underneath new head coach Dan Quinn. And the reason this was brought to light was because earlier today, Cliff Kingsbury was hired as the offensive coordinator by the Las Vegas Raiders. The same Cliff Kingsbury that nearly ran the Arizona Cardinals into the ground and had Patrick Mahomes as his quarterback. The reason he got the job was because Chip Kelly didn't. Kelly apparently interviewed twice with Antonio Pierce for the opening, and it would have made a little bit of sense. This is a coach that back in November was told, and it was reported, was going to be fired. He was not going to be retained as it was a new era for Bruin football in the Big Ten. And then he ends up beating USC, and boosters say, you know what, let's just go ahead and keep him around for another season and let's see what happens. Well, Hafley had a good year, maybe not a dominant year, but a year to where you felt like he's not on the hot seat, but he could be next season. He could even be shown the door. And definitely Chip Kelly is on the hot seat. There was regression this past season in Los Angeles. And now he could just say, I don't want to worry about that. I don't want to think that I'm under scrutiny every single game. And when I look at my schedule, I know that it's going to be promising, but 7-5 might be the best version we're going to get. And 7-5 is not enough to keep me employed. I have stability if I go to the NFL. I know how to run an offense. I only have to call one side of the play. And I get a little bit more time off to relax and get back to my zen. Why not consider it? This is going to be the new norm in college football. I truly believe that. And I think now, as you start to see more coaches figure out that this is a positivity, they're going to explore their options. It goes back to like how we're looking at head coaches right now at the group of 5 level. Sean Lewis and Kane Womack are probably the 2 most prominent names that have done this as of late. They were group of 5 acting coaches. They had control over everything. They were leaders. They were respected at their universities. And one goes and becomes the offense coordinator at Colorado. The other becomes the defense coordinator at Alabama. And mostly that's because they believe that with time and with the productivity, they would get better jobs. Lewis did get a better job in terms of upgrade with San Diego State, not a Power 5 job. Womack, as long as he does his job, eventually I think will take over a Power 5 job somewhere in the country. But the question turns to, now that we're watching that change, what other changes are we going to see? With college coaching, it takes an elite bunch. It takes a special group of people, all the way down to junior college to Alabama. Anywhere in between, you have to be a complete and total sicko to be that involved in college football, because there is no off time. Yeah, maybe you'll get a few days where you get to go on vacation with the family, hug the kids, sleep in a little bit, but that's it. You're still on vacation making phone calls to recruits. When the season's over, you no longer get to turn over the playbook, look at the do's and don'ts. No, now you're re-recruiting your talent to stick on campus and not enter the transfer portal for more NIL funds. You also are dealing with boosters and the NIL collective when it comes to how much resources do we have to bring in premier talent. Oh, and on top of all of that, you have 2 recruiting cycles, one in early December and one in February, when you could be planning for a college football playoff. No added pressure, right? It's a job. It's a very rigorous job, and it takes a very special person to give up their time, their energy, their effort, and throw their family to the wayside for another family, a football family. And for Kelly, he's not guaranteed to be back next year. He's not guaranteed to be the guy for the Bruins long term. And he certainly is not in the best frame of mind to where you think that the Bruins are going to be legit contenders the second they touch down. I look at USC. I think they're probably going to be 8-4, 9-3, maybe. And that's if all the defensive personnel moves made by Lincoln Riley hit. I think Washington is going to take a step back. I do believe Washington, with the resources, the NIL collective, and what we know about Jed Fish, could end up being a viable threat in the Big Ten, but not in 2024. And then you have Oregon. And Oregon's probably the one team that's going to terrorize everybody on their schedule, maybe minus Ohio State and Lucas Oil Stadium. But besides that, it really is just like you're kind of joining the party. I don't know what I'm getting in UCLA. And so for Kelly, he goes to the NFL. He's going to get paid an egregious amount. He's going to be able to run one side of the football. He's going to have off time. He's going to be able to scout. He knows what he's looking for in terms of personnel, what fits his offensive style, what doesn't fit his offensive concepts, and what will eventually help him land a premier job at the NFL level. And maybe he's done in college football. Kelly's done a lot of good for the game. If you look back at his tenure when he was at Oregon, what he was able to establish there, then what he was able to bring to UCLA after a failed experiment with San Francisco, there's a lot to like. And he is a good coach, and he's a great offensive mastermind. In fact, if there was probably 3 coaches I would want to sit in a room with and just break down their MO, one absolutely would be Kelly. I love his offense. I love his approach to the game. I love his tempo. I love everything about his construct. But this is no longer a 8-month job where you get 2 months off to be able to go on vacation, maybe relax a little bit. It is 366, 24/8. And I said that exact way because of even on days that you think that you're off, you're not. Even on days that don't exist, you still have to go out and recruit. You still have to do all the work. And it's added in because of NIL and the transfer portal. And until we have relegation on any one of these fields, you're caught in a rock and a hard place. That's what's going on. And so Kelly at this point, if he were to go to the NFL, I have no doubt he would be successful. I have no hesitation to believe he would be able to get the best version of the Washington offense, especially if they're drafting a quarterback at number 2. But that's an NFL thing. We talk college football here. But now it turns to, well, who's next? I've already brought this up. I think in 2024, you're going to watch a coach get burnt out. Somebody who you thought was going to have another 15, 20 years in the sport, maybe end up winning a few national titles, certainly be a conference contender, and they're just going to go ahead and hang up the whistle and get into broadcasting or podcasting, or they're going to go ahead and go into another sport or maybe go to the NFL. I guarantee you it's going to happen, and it's going to happen to somebody that you least expect. And so now you have a baseline. Hafley was patient 0, and now Kelly could be patient 1, and it's going to spread like wildfire. There still will be coaches who say, I love this sport. I can't get enough of it. I live, eat, and breathe Saturdays. I need college football. There'll be those ones, and you never have to worry about them. And I can tell you right now, there's certainly going to be, I would say, at least 5 or 6 that are considered elite, not going anywhere. But would it shock you if Ryan Day, who's always facing scrutiny at Ohio State, once again takes his team to, let's say, 11-1, Big Ten title. They win 2 games in the playoffs, but they lose the national championship, and you still have fans calling for his head, and he has to recruit, and he has to work the transfer portal, and he has to be able to self-evaluate and retain as many players as possible. You don't think a guy like him that has NFL experience wouldn't consider going back if given the opportunity, especially with a significant pay raise, or if he was offered a head coaching job? You don't think you would see other people do it? Like Jim Harbaugh going to the NFL, people kind of expected that because he's always wanted to get back there. And the last 2 years, you've seen the writings on the wall. Wait for the right opportunity, and then you strike. Now it just feels like any opportunity to get out of college football so I don't have to worry about literally my entire brain from collapsing or self-imploding and me having an aneurysm before I turn 70, that might be the best thing for my health. This is going to be something to monitor in college football. If Kelly does get the job in Washington, I am going to be wondering what's next, because there are a lot of questions moving forward and not a lot of answers. I just think that when you see a move like this, after a day you just saw a move like Hafley, that's a warning sign. And that's something that I think is going to get brought up in a lot of circles and people are not ready for. Kelly, maybe he was going to be retained. Maybe he was going to be fired after next season. I don't know. But he's taking matters into his own hands. And don't be shocked if you see more coaches, prominent coaches, coaches of value, people who have done wonders for our game on Saturdays. If they start looking at the NFL and saying, you know what, that's better for me. That's where I need to be at this stage of my career. This is a young man's game. You're only 45. It's a young man's game. That honestly might just be the case moving forward in college football. Hafley was the first. I also said he wasn't the last. And now you're looking at Chip Kelly. And I don't think that's going to be the last one either. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching that video. Don't hit the X button yet. Make sure you hit subscribe to keep up with all of our daily content found on Just Saying It and anything else that we post on this channel. Bye.